Yes, guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to the SpursRelated podcast, YouTube Live. How is everyone after that massively great win? But without further ado, let's introduce our guest today. We've got Michael, as per usual, becoming a bit of a regular guest, aren't you, Michael? Almost like my co-host at the moment. All the way from South Africa. So, Michael, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Happy after that win. It's lasted. The effect hasn't worn off yet of having a win finally. So,
are you going around your house like going, "Come on," like Conte does, or not?
For a couple of days, yeah.
Couple of days. Wow, that's extreme. That's extreme. And as you can see, guys, we've got a special guest. We've had him on the channel a few times now. Not for a while though, but it's great to have him back. It's Darius from Paxton Road TV. Darius, how you doing, my man?
Mate, honestly, I'm 10 times better now. I'm on this channel again. It's honestly, like I said to you just 5 minutes before, it's been too long. And just to jump off what Michael said, that first 45 minutes, if you had asked me then, it would have been a completely different story. But after that second 45, I am buzzing, mate. I am absolutely buzzing. So I can't wait to talk about it.
Yes, guys, and before we carry on with the show, make sure you check out Paxton Road TV. It's a fantastic channel, similar content to us, but they do all sorts of different shows. They do player rating reviews, they do match previews. You guys even do watch-alongs occasionally, don't you? So
sometimes, yeah.
You guys do all sorts, so check them out, guys. They've hit 1K recently. You know, you can fling them some super chats. I'm sure they'd appreciate that. So yeah, get over to there, guys, if you haven't already. And yeah, guys, let's talk about Leeds. What a up and down game, starting with down and then finishing up, and that's all that matters, the 3 points. But Darius, I come to you first. What were you thinking after that first 45 minutes? And by the way, before I let you talk, I called us not having a shot on target that first half because
really?
I just said we will break the record. It's typical Spurs, another unwanted record we do not want. And we did exactly that. So
I can confirm you said that last week.
I did say that, didn't I? It's unbelievable. It's almost like I know Tottenham, but there you go. Darius, what were you thinking at half-time other than the inevitable?
I mean, you could just check my Twitter feed and you could see sort of the rage that was in my body. It was, to be fair, and I don't know if when I look back at it, because I did watch the game again, and when I look back at it, maybe I was being a bit harsh on certain players because they did improve in the second half, but there was a few players in that first half where I thought, how are you even still playing for Tottenham? And I don't like to be somebody who sort of holds agendas on players because I always have sort of time for players to improve. For example, Ben Davies, I think since Conte's come in, has been a revelation. He's changed his whole game and looks like an actual competent left centre back. But there were certain players, for example, Harry Winks, Harry Kane, even Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg. These players who, not particularly Kane and Højbjerg, but those Harry Winks, I've banged on. I've said, there's no room for him anymore. There's no place for him anymore. And when I watched him play, sort of the balls given away, the lack of accuracy in the passes, the lack of effort being shown, the fact that Leeds were almost just, and we know what Leeds are like. And I credit Leeds for the way they played in that first half. Mike said on our stream, they were near perfect with their press, but we knew what to expect. It's Leeds United. They haven't changed since they've come into the Premier League. They haven't changed since Bielsa's been in charge. So it wasn't like I was surprised by what they were doing. And the fact that we were so lackluster, we were so poor, the passing, just everything about it. Like I said, no shots on target. I didn't really want to watch that second half, and I just thought to myself, this is same old Tottenham, regardless of sort of the world-class manager we've got in. It's still the same old Tottenham. And then lo and behold, after 60 minutes into that second half, I can solely 100% say that win it goes down to Conte and Conte only. I think I can't believe he sort of turned around that team to sort of push and want to try so hard. And in the end, we had better running numbers than Leeds at the end of that game. So I credit Conte for that result. He got players turned around. Normally, Mourinho, you might see a Mourinho make 2 subs at halftime and sort of get onto the players who weren't playing well. But Conte sort of put his faith in those players and said, look, you're going to go out and you're going to change that. And they did. And that's what surprised me the most. And that's what gives me a lot of faith. Players like Harry Winks, players like Emerson, who didn't have a great game, but, you know, he turned it around. He works hard. He was always in. I was just very, very happy to see that. So I give Conte 100% credit for that win. And if we can give that man what he needs and sort of bolster that squad to at least have quality coming off the bench as well as starting, then oh my gosh, I think that we can really, really do something special. And I may be overreacting, I may be over-exaggerating, but after that result yesterday, I've not seen Tottenham sort of come back from a deficit like that and really want to win a game like that. So I'm very, very happy, and I do credit it all to Conte. So yeah.
Nice, fantastic summary, Darius. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, you pretty much summarised what I was going to say. But no, like picking up your key points there, like it was almost from the turnaround was from minute one of that second half. It's almost like a different team entered the pitch. And like you said, you have to put that down to Conte, that he's just said to the guys, I hate to think in what language, but he was probably absolutely going in on them at half time. Like, this is not acceptable, and it worked. Every player stepped it up pretty much. And I thought, even I've got to say, even though I don't like the guy, I thought Harry Winks showed a bit of drive in that second half. He really drove forward. He actually took on players. He wasn't playing backwards, sideways, Harry Winks specials. He was actually like, it was nice to see. And although I don't want to see him in the starting 11 next week, I got to be honest, or on Sunday, I mean, he can play against Mura, that's fine. But, I think I would have played Ndombele, and I don't know why he didn't play. But at the end of the day, maybe Conte's going to stick firm and say, you've got to be fit to play 90 minutes. And this is what we don't know. It's a case of, well, why was Ndombele not playing? It is an interesting move. What you said about Ben Davies, I do agree with. I don't think I'd go as far as saying I want him to be a starter past January. It's a potential temporary fix, in my opinion.
Yeah. As a backup, like you said, if a player gets injured, he comes in as a left centre back. If he carries on playing like this, I've not got a problem with it. If you asked me that 6 months ago, Ben Davies would be on the same list as sort of your Allies and Winkses to go. So I'm just impressed that he's actually improved in this short space of time with Conte. So yeah, no, I agree with you there, mate.
Yeah, good shout. Derek's in here. Big up you guys. Big up yourself, mate. Thanks for tuning in. He said, we're not making top four with the current squad. It needs changing. I mean, I got to agree. But the thing is, I was talking to someone the other day and I was saying to them, like, well, at the start of the season, everyone was saying Chelsea, Man United, Man City and Liverpool. Well, Man United are well off it at the moment, although they got a win last night in the Champions League. That doesn't mean to say they're going to suddenly be an incredible team in the Premier League under Michael Carrick. It's probably not going to happen. So I think that 4 places up for grabs. I think Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool are above everyone else. And I think we saw that when Liverpool absolutely cruised it against Arsenal 4-0. I think we saw it when Man City put in a pretty top performance on the weekend. Was that against Burnley? And I mean, that Trivela pass, João Cancelo is one of the best players in the world at the moment. Call me out. He's unbelievable. Yeah. And obviously, Chelsea are doing bits, beating Juventus 4-0 yesterday. I know it's a different competition.
Juventus as well, yeah.
But I mean, Chelsea,
but it's Juventus.
You talk about fullbacks. Reece James is looking like some unbelievable player as well. So these 3 teams are just above it. They've got the best starting 11s. They've got depth on the bench. I mean, Chelsea's bench is brilliant. Man City's bench goes without saying. And Liverpool's bench is brilliant as well. And you look at our bench, and I'm going to say it again. When we look to the bench, we're looking at Brian Hill. We're looking at Ryan Sessegnon. I mean, it's not great, is it? It's a concern. We need some backup. We need some options. Conte has to get what he wants in January.
Yeah, January is going to be key.
Yeah, Michael, I'll go to you. What do you think are the priorities in January? I know we covered this a little bit last week, but based on the performance the other day, what do you think's missing? Do you think it is a case of, another centre-back's needed, left centre-back, a centre-mid? Clearly, Conte's not happy with what he's got, and obviously a backup striker. What are your opinions?
Yeah, I wouldn't change what I said last week that much based on the performance against Leeds. I think still we need another centre-back, especially now seeing that, yes, Romero is injured, but that was something we could have predicted that could happen anyway. Definitely some more creativity in midfield. We need a creative midfielder. That's been the case for a long time. And a backup striker. The order of those priorities could change depending on what happens going forward. But it's going to be those 3, isn't it? I mean,
I was just going to say on that, Michael, I read this morning about Christian Romero, and it seems like his thigh injury might be a little bit more serious than we first imagined. So it may be that we might even need to get 2 centre-backs in that January window if it is a long-term injury for Romero.
It's true. It's true. Well, we would probably, maybe one sort of more backup centre-back for the bench, and someone maybe a bit of a bigger name to come in as well. We'll see.
It's so Spurs, isn't it? Like, we finally get a centre-back, right? It's unbelievable. £60 million centre-back, and he gets injured after, 3 months? It's just...
And an international break as well, which sort of just rubs salt into the wound as well. It wasn't even playing for us when it happened.
It's not great, is it? But
no.
Darius, me and Michael kind of went through it last week on the podcast, and I want to understand your opinions, and maybe you have a different opinion. What if I said to you, like, you know, you have £200 million to spend in January, or even let's go with £150 million to spend, right? I don't think he's going to get that much, but let's just say you have 150 million. Who are your 3 players you're going to sign with that money in January, and why?
That's a great question. When I'm looking at it, it's a case of either priority positions or individual players that we potentially could get and might lose if we sort of wait until the summer. And for me, in that second category, Dusan Vlahovic fits that perfectly, because I think if we wait until the summer, until he's got a year left, I think there'll be a lot of clubs going in for him. I think City, if we wait, I think City might even go in for him. I just think that it's so hard to come across centre-backs like him, centre-forwards like him. If you have an opportunity to sign him and you have to spend a 5 million premium, a 10 million premium because it's January, for a player of that quality, and the fact that we do need a backup striker, not even a backup striker, I just think we need another striker. And if you want to be sort of a big club, and that we just mentioned about the benches of these teams, Lukaku's been injured, but Chelsea have been flying because they have options off that bench just to fill that void. So I think Dusan Vlahovic is worth the 60-70 million that Fiorentina are touting for him. You go and get him in that January, you secure him, and I think that you can really start to build on that. From that, there's been plenty of rumours about sort of centre mids. The issue with the centre mids is every link and rumour that I've seen players-wise seem to be players going on a free in the summer. So Kessié, Brozovic, these sort of players who would be incredible additions to the team in January. I don't think you're going to be able to get in January, just because, one, I don't think the clubs will let them leave unless you're going to pay a ridiculous fee for them. And two, I just think these players will probably wait out for a free, to leave on a free, get a better deal on their contract, get better wages. So I just think that Vlahovic, I really do think that Vlahovic deal needs to go through in January, because I just know for a fact that if teams in the Champions League come in and we don't get that Champions League in the end of the season, there's no chance he's going to sign. I really think that he could be convinced by Conte and Paratici's sort of vision and future for Tottenham. He's also mentioned that he wants to continue speaking Italian. So obviously the manager's Italian. I heard that Juve is a dream for him. So I just think if we let up on these opportunities, they will go. And as much as I don't like to say this, and I don't think it's sort of getting onto Tottenham's case, but Tottenham don't have the pool that other clubs have. I mean, even Arsenal, to an extent, they can still sort of ride on those extremely old history coattails and talk about Premier League 17 years ago. And that is history, but it's still sort of more modern than our successful history. So I just think Tottenham, if they aren't going to offer wages, they have to offer sort of a good idea, a good plan, a good future for that player. And I think they can really convince Vlahovic to come in. So I would really go all out for Vlahovic, and then I would probably go for a centre mid, and then I would go for a, like you said, Michael, a big name centre back. I don't know who that's going to be. I've heard many names mentioned: De Vrij, Skriniar, De Ligt. I've heard a lot of players, but I think we do need to get in a big name centre back, because I think Romero and sort of a centre back who's of his quality is an ideal partnership. And obviously, because we are playing 3 at the back, you're going to need 3 solid centre backs and 2 on the bench as well. So I think, honestly, you break the bank for your striker and your centre back, and then you can sort of do your penny pinching deals in the summer, because there's going to be a lot of free contracts. And I mean, we've probably got the king of free contracts in Fabio Paratici as our director of football as well. So I say go for the big signings in January, as crazy as it sounds, and then kind of get the free deals done in the summer. You could even get pre-contracts done in January for the summer as well. So yeah, that's sort of my mentality and my thought process of the January transfer window.
Yeah, spot on. Would you go for Kessié? I know you said about the free transfers and maybe leaving them, but would you go for a Kessié, or would you go for Brozovic?
I personally would go for Brozovic. That's only because, and don't get me wrong, I do rate Kessié, and I think that obviously his numbers are sort of skewed by the penalties that he's scored, and obviously he's played a lot of minutes. I mean, I think he's played 3,400 minutes or 3,800 from last season. So that's pretty much almost every minute of every game. My only thing is I actually don't think he's as important to the team as Brozovic would be. I think there's no sort of player who can play as a sole defensive midfielder. I don't think Skip can do it, and I don't think Højbjerg can do it. And when they play as a double pivot, I don't think there's enough creativity in there. So to bring in Brozovic as sort of a lone 6 or a deep line playmaker almost, you allow Højbjerg to be a little bit more forward. And we saw what Højbjerg can do when he gets in the box, literally on the weekend and in the Euros. I mean, the guy does have an eye for a pass. So I think that Brozovic will set that tempo for the team. And I think it would just make a lot more sense for us to have one defensive midfielder and then be able to play sort of Højbjerg and Ndombele in front, or Skip and Ndombele in front. It just would make more sense. I think it'd be a lot more secure, sort of having 3 at the back and a defensive midfielder. And then if Ndombele is, like he said, not sprinting and running for those 90, not that you can sort of accommodate for that, but you can sort of say, look, if you are going to sacrifice somebody's legs, and in my opinion, Ndombele is worth that sacrifice, a bit like Pogba is in Man United's team. I think you do that, and Brozovic would fill that role perfectly for Conte. I think he's only 27, 28 as well, so he's right in his prime, and I think he's tailor made for that Premier League. I think he'd do really well. So yeah, I would go for Brozovic over Kessie.
I like that explanation as well. Like, I think you're right. For me, we never replaced. Right, it's going to sound crazy.
It's going to be a lot of players, you're going to say.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But in terms of them, we all know that, the strikers, Dembele, the attacking midfielders, but we never replaced the Musa Dembele, and we never replaced Victor Wanyama, and those two were just unbelievable. Like, for me, they were the two combined, the two best centre mid partnerships we've had in a long, long time, and the fact we never replaced either of them, to be honest with you. I mean, Højbjerg is probably the nearest replacement, but it's not really. If you compare Ndombele and Højbjerg, they're still two very different players, and I still think Ndombele went too soon. I don't know if he'd be sort of any good still, but I mean, he was unbelievable. The way he could hold the ball, the way he could just swivel a defender and then play the pass. I mean, we just don't have that in our team. We don't have anything like that in our team at the moment, and I think I don't know if Brozovic is like a Ndombele. I think potentially he's further back. I think Ndombele was almost that box to box player, but I just think,
Do you think you could ever sort of replace Ndombele with one player though? Because I've had this sort of debate with a lot of people, and I think that as much as like you, James, I almost think he's probably one of the best players I've ever seen play for Tottenham, and that's not even an exaggeration. I think it's probably impossible to sort of replace that man with one player. I think Ndombele has traits of Dembele, but then also lacks sort of the better traits that Dembele had as well. But Højbjerg and Ndombele does seem like it is Dembele in two players. And my thing is, I want Ndombele to work out so well, but is it now sort of Ndombele's fault, or is it because it's 4 managers now, and he's not been trusted by 4 managers, and I rate the guy so much, but surely there's got to be something that's going on. It can't just be down to fitness, because he's played 90 minutes this season as well. So I don't know what it is that is causing this lack of trust, but I think it's going to be so hard to sort of replace players of that quality so much. It's just like, I'm so confused by this Ndombele situation. I don't know, honestly, like you said, mate, at the start, I don't know why he didn't start in that game against Leeds. I don't know why he's not been starting for many teams. I don't know if you've got any reasons why, but that for me, getting in playing is the main thing for me.
Well, for Leeds, if we look at Antonio Conte's press conference after the Leeds game, I think it was Alistair Gold who asked him about the fitness of the players and how long it'll take the players to get to the sort of level of fitness that his style demands. All the outrunning the team, outworking the team, your opponent every time. And Conte said he was worried and afraid about that before the Leeds game, which you guys saw. So maybe that's part of the reason he just wanted to get the fittest players in, even if it meant sacrificing a little bit of creativity, which Ndombele has over, potentially Skip and Højbjerg. So the only explanation I could offer is that Conte thought that Ndombele would sort of limit the amount of work that the team could do, because
I get that. And it's Leeds as well, to be fair.
Yeah, and I say that, but also he's supposed to be in the best form of his Tottenham career. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's in not best form, best fitness of his Tottenham career. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's fitter than the other players. So it's still kind of a bit of a mystery, I guess.
I think that is a logical explanation, but I mean, looking at the players' fitness in the first half, they forgot how to run. Like, they weren't running for the ball, they weren't running for the shirt, they weren't running for the back. Yeah, exactly that. And I thought like none of those players almost wanted to be there in that first half. It was so frustrating. And I was at the game on Sunday, and I was watching it, and when Leeds got past the halfway line, we sort of let them get further towards the box, whereas Leeds weren't letting us get past it. Leeds weren't letting us get into their half most of the time, right? And even if we did, their centre-backs were pushing it. I mean, Calvin Phillips was playing more of a centre-back role on Sunday, and he just didn't let Kane get near the ball. Like, every time we tried to roll, that's the other thing that annoys me. We keep passing it from like Dyer all the way up to Kane and missing the midfield. No one's there to receive the ball. No one's there
And
to.
this was
And this is the problem we're having. No one's there in midfield. It's like we've got nothing in that midfield that's like, come on, give me the ball. Right, now swivel. Play it to a fullback, wing back that's running. Play it to Harry Kane that's running through. Son that's running through. It goes to Kane and Son. And then when it goes to Kane and Son, we're so deep that there's no one then further forward to pass to. And it's just like, it's so obvious, but no one sees it other than the fans. I promise you. I'm going to get through a few comments quickly, guys. Derek says, Højbjerg, Winks, Bergwijn, Ali, Dyer, Doherty, Davies, not good enough. They only replacing.
Højbjerg.
I don't know about Højbjerg. That was the only one I was going to...
I don't know about Bergwijn either. I think he needs a bit of time.
I've got time for Bergwijn as well. Yeah,
and Davis as well. Look, I know he hasn't been great in the past, but we have said he seems to be improving under Conte, and if he's fine sort of being more of a fringe player, I would definitely keep him on the bench. Provided we get another centre back in the summer or less.
I have a very different opinion of Bergwijn, but I don't want to get started. I don't want to ruin the mood, guys. But
no, I can understand other views on that as well, because his finishing has been very poor.
But he
pretty much the entire time he's been.
Okay, guys, without causing an absolute like full blown on the SpursRelated podcast this week. Please tell me the last time Bergwijn had a good game. Go.
I can't tell you.
His debut.
That's a shout.
Exactly. This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I was hoping you were going to say. So
it's true.
So we say about giving him time, right? I don't want him to. He might suddenly become good, right? I'm not saying he's not going to suddenly become good, but listen, hang on, listen. We say this about players like Lamela. We said this about players like I don't know.
Ali, Lo Celso, we say
exactly. Let's give them another season. Like, they'll come good. They'll come good. Even Ndombele, we've just been talking about, right? How long before you go, actually, this player has to move on now because he's not good enough, right? Bergwijn's been here since, 2018 or 19? 2019. So he's been here 2.5 years, right? And I would say he's had 2 good games max, like 2 really good games max.
I would agree. It was Man City his debut, and possibly Man United on the restart in the 2019-20 season. Exactly.
So... Although I'm all for giving the players another chance, like we've seen with Davies, like you're saying, Darius, maybe, Davies can be a fringe player. He can be a backup player when we get a centre-back. But Bergwijn for me, he's got till the end of the season. If he doesn't show us any quality till then, I don't want him becoming another Dele Alli where he's just sat here for 5 years and 4 of them he's done nothing, Or maybe that 4 years is harsh on Dele Alli, maybe 3 years. But the point is, I don't want him to take up part of the squad that can be upgraded, and that's the truth. Like, Conte doesn't want to work with these players. Like, I don't know how the man turned Ashley Young and Victor Moses into world-class fullbacks. It's above me, but he probably wants to buy his own players rather than try and turn Matt Doherty and Bergwijn into wing-backs. Because, someone actually said Bergwijn could be a wing-back the other day, and I don't know what your opinion is on this, Darius.
I was just about to ask you that question. It's so funny you say that. I don't know.
No, for me, I think if we're going to convert Bergwijn to a wing-back, then why are we even here?
Penny pinching, aren't we?
Just
honestly, someone actually tried to explain it to me the other day, and I was thinking, like, you can't just take, like, oh, it's so frustrating. It's like when someone says Dele Alli, put him as a striker. No, it just can't happen. These players aren't good enough in their natural position, but they're not good enough in their natural position. They're not going to suddenly become, prime Antonio Valencia. It's just unbelievable, honestly. I don't know why I said Antonio Valencia, but, Tottenham should sign Badiashile. I'm not going to say I know much about him, so I'm not even going to pretend. Lacroix, who's this guy that's unbelievable on FIFA and everyone's suddenly talked about since September when it came out. Please, honestly, is the guy even good? I've seen him do TikToks with a lookalike and he's got 90 pace on FIFA as a centre-back. Please, is he actually good? Like,
he's decent. He is very quick, to be fair. I think he's probably one of Wolfsburg's best defenders, but the thing is with me is, and I don't know how you guys feel, but if you actually look at the ages of our centre-backs, barring Eric Dyer, there isn't much experience in there. And I do actually value experience as such an important trait to have in a centre-back. And I think that if we do go for a centre-back, like you said, of high quality, I wouldn't go for Maxence Lacroix. I would go for more of like I said, somebody who probably who's either played with Conte or who Conte would want. And then to second that, my second centre back wouldn't be him either. I wouldn't even go for him as a second choice. I would want somebody who is sort of older. I mean, the person I've been sort of banging on about who actually goes on a free or actually contract ends in somewhere is James Tarkowski. I think that he would be actually quite a good addition for that Tottenham centre back position, just because he would bring that steel, he would bring that the British homegrown. Obviously, the quota would be filled with him. He's 29 years old. I think he's actually a very good centre back. And also another thing that we actually are terrible at is scoring from corners. I think we've taken about 61, 62 corners and not scored any this season. So to bring in somebody like a James Tarkowski who knows the league very well, who's used to being in sort of a very defensive team, I think it would actually be quite a good addition. On a
and
free
also
as well, I think it would be a good
helping
addition.
with conceding from corners.
Conceding from corners as well.
Two more there as well, yeah.
So I just think that I just think that players like Maxence Lacroix, as much as they are good centre backs, I don't think we need them because we've got so many young centre backs, and we shipped off Juan Foyth last season, and I don't know why we did that because I think he would have been an excellent right centre back today. And we've got Tanganga, we've got Christian Romero, who's only 23 years old as well. So Sanchez is pushing 24, 25 years old. So all our centre backs are relatively. You might be older, you might be 26 actually, but all of our centre backs are relatively young for centre backs. And I just think that maybe we need to add a bit of experience.
Rodon as well.
Rodon's another young one. He hasn't even pushed his way into the first team for the most part yet. But I can agree with exactly what you're saying there, because what we need is experience, and getting a young centre back like that is kind of neither here nor there, because if they're young, they're going to need to grow. They can't sit on the bench, and they can't really be the first choice either, because as you say, we need experience there. The commanding experienced figure in the centre of defence. So it would be tough to sign someone so young to allow them to develop into that role while also being probably the second choice at best, which they might be. And also, I agree.
Your Tarkowski shout is actually it's got me thinking.
You gotta let it marinate in your head.
Tarkowski.
You gotta let it marinate.
Because
I'm gonna sleep on that one, Darius. I'm gonna have to let it. I'm gonna have to let that one grow on me. I mean, it's not a terrible shout, and I don't think it can do us harm. When you look at we've got Davies that shouldn't be.
Exactly.
But you say about the corners as well, right? Just going a little bit off topic. I don't know if you see the account on Twitter. I think I mentioned it last week as well. Stop that Gio Lo Celso on Twitter, right?
Oh,
it's actually my favourite Twitter account at the moment because it's just incredible. Like, it was the Everton clip. It's the 93rd minute, right? And we hadn't had a shot on target all game. Well, we hadn't had a shot on target for 3 games, as we all know. But he goes to do a fake corner kick, trips up on himself, and then puts it on the first man's foot.
It barely crossed the line to get into the box. The ball bounced just past.
It bounced before even.
I reckon any of us here could have done better than that. Like, it's not even funny. Like, how can you be playing with Lionel Messi in Argentina, right?
Getting man of the matches as well. He had 2 man of the match performances in the last international break.
Exactly. How do you do that? And then you put on a I think he's an Arsenal fan.
Does this raise almost a bigger issue at Spurs, potentially, if we're thinking about players who go into international breaks? I mean, I know Kane wasn't banging them in every time he put on an England shirt until rarely last international break, but he was still doing better than he was for Spurs for England. Then we look at Lo Celso. Is this just a motivational problem at our club specifically?
I don't think it's a motivational problem, to be honest with you, Mike. And I was just about to mention Harry Kane as well, just before you said that. I just think they don't want to be there. I'm going to be so honest with you. I just think it's a case of them not wanting to be at the club. For me, like I said, and I mentioned this when Harry Kane banged 7 goals against Albania and who was it, San Marino. I didn't care. He could score 25 goals in a game against them. I wouldn't care. Harry Kane should be scoring 25 goals against those guys. And the fact that his overall performance in both of those games was more like how I expect Harry Kane to play. Soon as he got into that Leeds game, I thought Harry Kane, up until the 90th minute, was probably one of the worst players on the pitch. And that, again, I remember specifically, very, very specifically, right at the end of the game, where Leeds was throwing people forward. We had about 4 or 5 chances to counter attack with it was literally 4 and 3v2s. And Kane could not find a pass. And I've never seen Harry Kane sort of make mistakes like that before. And it's just Go on, sorry, Michael. Yeah.
Sorry. There was one example. I think it was either 4v3 on the Leeds event or 3v2, and Kane had ample opportunity to pass to either side of him, and he sort of just ran into the Leeds defender.
It's exactly
and I don't
the
know
moment
what was happening there. Yeah.
And that made me more angry than sort of Winks in the first half, because Winks actually turned it around and genuinely had, like you said, James, had a good performance. And I'm the least, in terms of Harry Winks fans, I'm probably the biggest Harry Winks hater in all of the Tottenham community. But even I will admit he had a good game and he turned it around. But Harry Kane, for me, just the entire game was just giving the ball away. I know he missed the chance where he could have scored, but again, I expect Harry Kane to be scoring goals from there. It just, for me, I just don't know if it's him not wanting to be at the club or just his mind isn't fully in it. But you can't, when we've got somebody like Conte in, I need every player. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you've done for the club. You need to be given 100%. And I just think that the sentiment in Tottenham and amongst Tottenham fans for players is a little bit too much sometimes. And I think that we, like you said, this is probably why I'm willing to give Bergwijn a chance, is because these players we sort of hold feelings for and think, right, yeah, they're going to come good for Tottenham and they're one of our own and stuff like that. And it's, as much as we want to think like that, it's great to win leagues and win trophies with teams and players in your academy, but I'm not sure Conte is going to care, really. I think he's just going to want whoever's going to be willing to put their body on the line for him for 90 minutes, and that's all he's going to want. And that's probably why Winks got the start over Ndombele. So me personally, if I don't see Kane sort of turn, Burnley should score and he should dominate that Burnley team under Antonio Conte. And if he doesn't, then I really do have a very, very big cause for concern, and almost like sort of he won't improve this season, Harry Kane. But that's just something that I wanted to touch on. It was just on my head. Even Harry Winks improved, and it seemed like Kane did improve in that whole game. So yeah,
it's a good point, Darius. All you need to do is look at the stats. I mean, he scored one goal in 10 games now. Is it 10 games?
Yeah,
one
12
goal
games in the Premier. Oh, in the Premier League, yeah.
No, it's 12. It is 12. Yeah, you're right.
So one goal in 12 games, and Højbjerg, who everyone's slating, is a centre midfielder, and he's got 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just think when you look back at the Leeds game, as you said, I can't think of a single player compared to the first half that didn't improve in the second half, except maybe Kane.
Yeah,
and that's kind of worrying. And
that's the big thing.
And he's one who you'd expect to have been good, to have been delivering and performing from the first half, and he's the only one who didn't improve.
And we all agree that the effect of the second half was to do with Conte's team talk, Conte's tactics change.
Exactly.
Everyone's on board with it, and he's not. That's when you've got to start asking yourself the questions. Is he?
And why is that as well, James? Why is that? You've got sort of. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't sort of back Harry Kane in sort of the way he's behaved, sort of when Nuno was in charge. But don't get me wrong. I can see why he would do it. If this gentleman's agreement, like the whole debacle that happened over the summer, if that really was a thing, and he sort of was told you can go for a certain price, I would be fuming as well. But at the end of the day, and as much as people don't like to not even admit, but I just think that until January, we're not going to see sort of what Levy and Enoch are going to do for Conte. But the fact that they've even sort of sacked Nuno so abruptly and brought in Conte straight away, that to me shows a change, and that to me shows sort of an acceptance that you're going to need to do something different. And I thought when Conte came in, Kane would be convinced that you've got now, in my opinion, you could call Conte the best manager in the world, and I wouldn't call you crazy. For me, he's in that rotation of top 3, top 5 managers in the world. I thought as soon as Conte came in, I thought Kane would be so motivated to sort of, after seeing what he's done with Diego Costa, what he's done with Romelu Lukaku, it just doesn't seem like he actually wants to be at Tottenham anymore. And maybe it's just the best for everybody, even if he does obviously turn his form around. Maybe it's just the best for him to go and you can still maybe get, I don't know, 90 to 100 mil for him and sort of reinvest that money into players that
Vlahovic or someone
like a Vlahovic, or just sort of a centre mid who Conte needs and who Conte wants. And again, that's not me bashing Kane. That's not me saying Kane's not good enough. That's not me hating on Kane. That's just me observing his body language and seeing sort of the way he's been playing and the fact that I can tell just from watching him on TV that he don't really want to be there, and he's not putting in 100%, and he is getting slower as well. And you never know, he could get another long-term injury. His ankles,
if he gets injured before January or before next summer, then
there's so many different things that can happen. And it's just, for me, I think that you can you can afford to lose Kane. I really do believe that if he ain't going to improve in his performances, it's not like we're missing out on his goals because he's not scoring any. So it's just food for thought for me. I just think, like you said, Michael, out of all the players that did improve, or all the players that did play badly in the first half, he probably was the only one who didn't really significantly improve. And that for me isn't sort of just a one-off scenario. I think it is the cause of him and his attitude towards the club at the moment. As sad as it is.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And the other thing is, you mentioned his pace. Sorry, I wanted to pick up on that because I was going to bring it up. Oh my goodness, he is so slow. Like, I know he's not a quick striker, but it seems like he's.
Is he reserving himself?
It feels like when he's running, right, he's 10 stone heavier than he thinks he is. I don't know. In my head, right, he's like running, and I'm thinking, Jesus, Kane's a big lad. But then I'm thinking, well, he's tall, but he's not really a big lad. And it's like, I don't know I think it was 2 years ago, he had that real like trim up where he became really muscular, and then he was all the admins were putting up like pictures of him in like, you know, these bloody tight training tops, and he was actually looking pretty like stacked. I just feel like he's like, I don't know. I just feel like he doesn't look bigger, but he feels like he's running bigger. Does that make any sense, or am I chatting completely?
As Darius said, it feels like he's maybe trying to preserve his condition a little bit. It's strange. And I don't know if you remember when he came back from the long-term injury in the 2019-20 season. He made his return. It may have been his full return. I'm not sure, he may have been subbed on before that, but he was back on in a game against West Ham, and he scored his when he scored his first goal after coming back from that injury. And he was clean through on goal against West Ham, and he was moving, he was sprinting, and he looked like he had just come back. He'd had surgery after that injury, and he was giving it his all. He was seemingly much faster than he's run in a long time since then. And it's just strange. If he can do that, I mean, okay, coming back from injury, maybe he feels refreshed. I don't know what that is, but if you can do that, then not much could have changed since then in terms of his physical form, that he should be that much slower.
Good point. Do you think it's to do with the World Cup? The Euros in the summer? Obviously, didn't really get a proper break. Going straight back
he got a longer break than he would if he stayed in Disney World.
Honestly, mate, I you know what it is? I heard this sort of being thrown around for the whole England team. To be honest, a lot of people saying, "Oh, if you look at all the England players that played really well in the Euros, they're not really playing well at the start of the season."
Yeah.
I actually don't care, because go look at Declan Rice, who played every single minute in every single game last season. He's played every single minute in every single game this season,
and he goes and on at 11:30 on Sing Your Dialect last night and puts in a 10 out of 10 Rice Baby performance. I mean, the guy's immortal.
I don't actually want to personally. I don't want to use that as an excuse for these players. I do think it is a valid reason. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it holds as much substance as people are making it out to be. I mean, I just think Shaw's just had a really, really hot streak season. I don't think he's actually as good as people made him out to be, but Kane is as good as people make him out to be.
And exactly. Shaw just had a sudden burst of form, but Kane should be consistently performing.
Kane should be consistently performing. And if I'm going to be honest with you again, and I really am sorry to the commenters who do love Harry Kane, but he actually wasn't that good in the Euros either, to be honest with you, until the knockouts. He didn't do anything. He scored three tap-ins, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Do you know what I mean? Let's be honest. He hasn't been playing well since he gave Son and Dele that big hug at the end of the season. And he probably was thinking, I'm going to be out of here. And he was promised. And I will say that, don't get me wrong, I would be just as angry as he is if I was promised something and didn't get it. But regardless, I just think if you're not going to play and you're going to show me in your form that you're not really going to play, then it shows a bit of a lack of professionalism for me. And
he loves the club as well. Like, let's not even beat around the bush.
Do you know what I mean?
He loves Tottenham. He is pretty much Mr. Tottenham. Like, why do we need to go? Like, I completely get what you're saying, 100%. You know, if he's promised something and he doesn't get it, of course he's going to be fuming. But you know, they've dusted themselves off. He's come out and said he's going to stay at Spurs this season. You know, he's got over it. He's fully committed to Tottenham. He even put that in the statement. Bullshit, is he fully committed to Tottenham at the moment?
Like
every one of those fans in that stadium knows that he is not fully committed to Tottenham at the moment. Something is, whether unintentionally or intentionally, that's got to be said, because he might be doing it on purpose, which I don't think he is. I think it's something to do with the mindset that he was so focused on going to Man City, and he's like, every time he puts on a Tottenham shirt, he's like, well, why am I here? Like, that's what he thinks every time. That's what he thinks.
I don't think he's deliberately doing it just to spite Tottenham. Obviously, that's not. Yeah, you're right. And like you said, he wasn't actually that good in the Euros, because remember there was all that talk about during the group stage he's lost it, he's offered in the Euros, they should replace him with another.
And then he scored 2 against Ukraine, didn't he?
And then he scored against Germany, and suddenly everyone, and like the Spurs admins were posting TikTok compilations of all the hate comments, and then it's him coming back. But it's like he didn't actually do that much in the Euros, as you said, since at 3 tap-ins, maybe, as James said. It wasn't like he massively turned around his lack of form from the group stage.
He didn't. And yeah, just to say on that, I just think, like you said, I think you guys are spot on. I don't think he is doing it on purpose. I just think, like you said, it's within human nature. If your heart isn't 100% in it, you're never going to give 100% effort. That's just human behavior.
Yeah.
It's happened to me before when I'm not fully motivated to do anything. You're not
without realizing as well, Darius.
Without realizing.
And you can
like even at school, like even back in your primary school days, Darius, you might have been promised golden time in your last period in on a Friday afternoon.
Nice juice carton, you get your coffee and everything.
You've been promised all that, or you've been promised you can play footy at lunch, and then you haven't got a ball, and you've actually had to go back in 10 minutes early and do maths. Like you're not going to be paying attention, are you?
Exactly. And that's it. That's exactly what it is. And you know what it is for me, right? It will make me more angry if. One, we turn our season around. Because we are in all competitions still, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. If we get to a final and he then decides to play out of his skin, don't get me wrong, I'll be over the moon if we win, whatever. But there'll be that sort of thing within me saying, well, why are you turning up now? Why is it taking that for you to turn up now? And it's just, it seems like it's a lose-lose. If he turns it around, I'll be happy, don't get me wrong, but then I'll be thinking, why didn't you do that from the start?
And then, also it raises the questions of, is he going to stay and keep doing that? Is he going to leave anyway?
Precisely. I mean, let's go into next summer. I mean, if City put anything more than 80 million on the table for Harry Kane, I would expect Daniel Levy to consider it, because I don't think he's going to sign another contract unless we give him an absolutely ridiculous wage. And then I asked you guys, is he worth giving that ridiculous wage to?
In this form, no.
In this form, no. But if he turns his form around, 100%.
And whether Daniel Levy considers that or not will probably depend on who's available at that time. Do we have Vlahovic available, etc.?
I would add that. Do you think Daniel Levy is not stubborn enough, right, to sell him for less than what he was offered in the summer after refusing? I think he's too stubborn. I think he's too stubborn to accept anything under what we were offered in the summer, which was 100 million.
It would be out of character. It would be out of character for him, but he definitely, especially with someone like Paratici possibly advising him, if he continues in this form and we are offered that amount of money as an example for him, can anyone really miss that opportunity, or even not see that I'm doing the Conte, or even not see that's a good decision, even if it means admitting you made a mistake early on.
100%.
But Daniel Levy, he's seen 100 million in the summer. He's been very stubborn. He's rejected it. We were all buzzing that Kane was staying.
Yeah.
But even 4 or 5 games in, everyone was saying we should have let him go. Come round to next summer, and when we're offered, like you said, Darius, maybe 80 million or 90 million pounds. And I know what you're saying, Michael. You're saying Paratici's going to be advising him, saying take it. You're not going to get more than that. He's not going to be upset that Harry Kane's leaving the club because he's been unbelievable for Tottenham in the last 6-7 years. He's going to be upset because he's lost out on 20 million pounds.
And it's true that he's made a mistake.
And it's true
as well.
And the thing is, for me as well, just on that, and this is a question to you guys. Honestly, I think the reason that he didn't sell Harry Kane in the summer wasn't because it was sort of not the best idea for Spurs, because I heard they did actually show the sort of a 150 million bid, if that was including add-ons, whatever you want to say. But
it's because it was a rival.
For me, that's what I was going to say, Michael. For me, the reason I don't think he sold him was because he didn't want to sort of look like that person in front of the Spurs fans. You've gone and sold Harry Kane to Man City. Harry Kane, I mean, Man City then go and dominate the league next season. Levy's going to look like the biggest villain in the whole of the Premier League and the Spurs. I think if Real Madrid came in for 100 million, he would have gone. If PSG came in for 100 million, he would have gone. So I think Daniel Levy, at the end of the day, bro, I think he just needs to sort of acknowledge, let's give it to the end of the season, 100%. Let's give it to the end of the season, because I do hold faith that Kane will still probably get 20 goals in all competitions, or even 15 goals in the league from this. But if these performances don't improve over the entirety of the season and we still go and win something, do you keep Harry Kane after that? Or do you just think,
no,
we don't actually sort of, it's not that we don't need him, but we've not even seen, and sorry to carry on, the Man City game is the biggest example for me, the Man City game with Nuno, the first game of the season.
Yeah.
Probably still our best performance in the Premier League, I would say.
No, it is 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah.
Who wasn't starting? Who wasn't in the 11?
Yeah.
So
and who scored?
Champions League semi-final. Who wasn't in the 11?
I'm not trying to get on. I'm not trying to like. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to sort of bash Harry Kane. I'm just trying to show people that there is a history.
There's life.
There is a life.
There's life to Spurs. Yes, there's life to Spurs without Kane, and this is what.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But more people will have woken up to that now. More people will be appreciative of that fact. But when people like me and you, Darius, and Michael were saying that in the summer, saying there's life to Spurs without Kane, Tottenham Hotspur, no one's bigger than the club. But most people are like, we can't sell Kane. We're Kane FC. You know, we can't. No, he got the most goals and most assists last year. But as we've seen on numerous occasions, sometimes a game is better without Harry Kane. And that's facts.
Yeah.
It's not bashing him either. It's not bashing him either. It's just tactical. Sometimes it's tactical.
We can't really think of many big game occasions where he's turned up. I mean, fair enough, he's been injured. Champions League final, he just come back from injury. Carabao Cup final, again, just come back from injury.
But it's big game. It's a concern on another. I don't want to go off on one, but I mean,
that's all. Yeah,
I'm going to get through a few comments because I haven't really been pulling them up, which is poor from me. But Derek says, how many goals has Son scored?
He's on a few. I can double check. I'll double check. Is this all competitions? I'll double check for you.
Yeah, but I mean, Premier League, we're talking on your one hand. Like,
yeah.
It was Man City, Watford. He scored against Newcastle, I think. He scored against Newcastle.
3, I think.
So Son has 4 goals in the Premier League and 1 assist, and he has a goal and an assist in the Conference League as well.
Who was the 4th? Are you able to check who that was against in the league?
I wonder who that was against. I have no.
I remember Watford, City, and Newcastle. Was it 2 against Newcastle? Maybe.
Might have.
No, because it was Kane and Ndombele and Son against Newcastle.
My mind has gone blank with this one, but at the end of the day, it's another point just to make on Son, and this is just my opinion. I don't want anybody to sort of be forced to agree with it, but for me, Son has been the better player. Apart from last season, Son has been the better player for the past probably couple of seasons, despite Kane's goals. Yeah, and that's proved as well by sort of the player awards that Son's cleaned up the player awards for two, 3 seasons in a row now.
I was about to bring that up as well when you said that. I was about to say he always seems to win the player awards, usually individual goal player of the season for Spurs, that sort of thing as well.
I just think that, and for me, it was very noticeable. Oh, was it Arsenal he scored?
Either consolation against Arsenal.
Villa, Arsenal, Watford, and Newcastle. But sorry, guys.
Villa.
No, just on
City, Arsenal.
Was it Man City? I'm pretty sure he scored against Man City, didn't he? He scored against because it was he cut in and scored with his left against Man City. But no, just on Son, he is honestly, he's just as important as Harry Kane in my opinion. And
I'd say he's more important than Kane.
I probably would. I'd probably say that as well.
Maybe a couple of seasons ago, and maybe not. But if we had to choose sell Kane or sell Son, we definitely sell Kane at this point.
For me, there's no argument.
We get more money for him, and he's not performing as well.
Yeah, and I just think that if you've got somebody like Son in that team who is always willing to try, he was always willing to work hard. Again, Harry Kane is an unreal striker. I am not saying that he's not. He's a world-class striker. Wherever he goes, he will score goals. But there are strikers in the market that you can get who, if you give Conte his time, he's proven with Lukaku, with Diego Costa, that he can get a tune out of these strikers. And I just think that in terms of player profile, Dusan Vlahovic, very, very, very similar to Harry Kane, very similar to Lukaku, very similar to Diego Costa, sort of size and structure. So I just think that, like you said, he may not be better, he may not score as many goals, but let's not forget Kane's 28, he has injury issues. You bring in a 21-year-old who's already bagging 20 goals in the league last season. I think he's on maybe close to 10, 11 goals this season as well. Just won the game, just beat Milan, basically single-handedly beat Milan for Fiorentina. I just think there's life after Kane. We've said this many times. There's life after Kane. You get 90 million and you can invest that money very, very smartly. And
you think that if Vlahovic comes in at a point when Kane's performing like this, he would get more goals than Kane would get anyway. Maybe not what Kane's been getting for the past few seasons, but...
And you know what it is, Michael, as well? If you bring in somebody like Vlahovic, think about it. When's the last time that Kane's had an adequate adequate competition in that strike force. You had Llorente, you had Janssen,
Exactly.
you had Kudu. You've had nobody to really challenge.
Vinicius,
Vinicius didn't even really challenge Harry Kane.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody
Vinicius knew he was there to be the understudy. He knew he wasn't there to push Kane further. He was a backup. He knew this.
It probably is Llorente, isn't it? That is the closest
and even
one,
then, he wasn't challenging Kane for a start. Like it wasn't like Llorente's playing so well, Harry Kane might get dropped. Harry Kane,
they might both play at best, sort of thing.
Harry Kane, since he's been at Tottenham, since he's been a starter, has never really had competition in that strike partnership. So if you bring in somebody like a Dusan Vlahovic, who's gonna push for that starting position, Kane better sort himself out, or he'll be sitting on the bench, and that's what you need. City can afford to do that. Chelsea can afford to do that. If you don't play well for those teams, look at Mahrez, look at Sterling. It's not that you're going to be sort of kicked out of that squad. You're just not going to start. You're not going to play. And if you decide to book your ideas up in training, if you decide to have a good game in, I don't know, in the Champions League, in the Premier League, you'll get your place back in the team. We need that. At the moment, there's a lot of players who are way, way too comfortable in their position, knowing that they're going to start every game. Kane comes back. You mentioned the Carabao. You mentioned the Champions League final. Yeah. He came back knowing he was going to start those games. He should have never started that Champions League final. And in all fairness,
Mura.
He shouldn't have really started that Carabao Cup final either, because he played awful. Everybody played awful, but
he'd been injured before. He'd been injured before.
It was sort of a terrible flashback to the Champions League final, in the sense that there were. It was. I don't know who would have come in. Bale was benched in that game.
Bale was benched. He could have been. He could have started.
It's a weird sort of. Yeah, a bit of a.
He's too comfortable. He's way too comfortable knowing that he as soon as he gets injured and he comes back, or even if he, like I said, he's been in poor form. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anymore. He's been in poor form this season. He should be getting dropped. In all fairness, if we had an adequate striker, like you said, if we had an adequate striker, I'd drop him. But I said in a past stream, I can't drop Harry Kane because we don't have anybody to cover him. I'm not playing Dane Scarlett over Harry Kane, am I? So it's difficult, man. It really is difficult.
And sorry, James, I know you want to go to some comments, but I wanted to bring up something that Darius said earlier. I think it was about Kane not wanting to play in certain times, and it brought not wanting to play, but not showing up in certain times, and it brings up the point of it was a similar thing to what's happened to the entire squad. If we can press and perform and run like we did in the second half against Leeds for Conte, why couldn't we do that under Nuno? I know Nuno didn't have the authority maybe and the passion that Conte had. At least it wasn't as obvious. He doesn't wear his heart on his sleeve like Conte does in any sense. But if we're going to be pressing, and it's not a matter of being coached by a world-class manager to know that you've got to run more than your opponent or work harder than your opponent to win the game. Why were the players just not working under Nuno?
I can answer that question because the players, a bit like what Darius is saying, they got a bit comfy. They're prima donna style, some of them. And I mean, you could see it in the first half of that game. They didn't want to run for Conte until he went and shouted at them at half time. So, I mean, we've seen the players have got that personality where they don't really care until they get really pushed. And that's the truth. And that's why we need Conte. And I don't think he's going to let them start like that again against Burnley. He'll be like, you play like you did second half, first half this time. So we have 90 minutes to win a game, not 45. Let's be honest.
And he should be getting chances to score. I mean, a lot of people have sort of put down Kane's bad form to the team's lack of creativity, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think that he probably would look a lot better if Ndombele was playing and they had sort of options and chances being created for him. But at the same time,
we didn't buy a number 10 since last season.
Exactly.
He has the same creativity. Bale's gone. Bale didn't play much last season. That's the only real difference.
He was doing a lot of the creativity, and to be fair, I've said this, and I don't get angry at Kane for not getting the chances because he deserves the chances. He needs creativity, but at the same time, what Kane does, which annoys me, is when he's not. And again, I can't really get angry at him for it, but it does annoy me when he's not getting the ball, when he's not on the ball. He drops deep way too much, and you're never going to be able to score a goal. You're never going to be able to have an opportunity on goal if you're sort of wanting to constantly create and be that person that's creative for. So I just think that Kane needs to have a little bit more faith in Conte, more say, and maybe as Rovshan said in the comments, maybe as Conte sort of gets these players playing and pushes them up a little bit further, he will score more goals. But in the past couple of games that Conte's been in charge of, I've still not seen an improvement on Kane, and there have been opportunities for him to score. Let's not lie to ourselves now. And since Conte's come in charge, he's had opportunities to score. So I just want to see better overall performances. And like I said, if he was banging in sort of the goals that Salah was scoring and he was putting in shit performances, I wouldn't care because he's scoring the goals, but he isn't doing both at the moment. So it's like, if you're not doing either, then there is a sort of a cause for concern. Do you know what I mean? But
that's a big problem. You're spot on.
It's that whole problem of Harry Kane can't pass to Harry Kane.
Exactly.
He can be that playmaker, but then there's no one to deliver the final product that he can.
He's got
or
to
he can stay in the box, but then no one can deliver the pass that he needs to score. It's the same problem.
Exactly.
Either he becomes a centre mid, right, or he stays up front, right, because he can drop deep, and we've seen it work before. But he's now dropping so deep. He's sometimes
as deep wide as well.
He's sometimes as deep as he's deeper than Højbjerg at times. And I'm thinking, what is the point? Like, who is up there? No one, because Son's trying to support the other players.
So true. Anyway, like I said, I think he will be able to turn his form around. Definitely, hopefully.
And I would also think that part of the great thing that Conte, the reasons that Conte coming in is so great is obviously the demand he brings with him for players to work hard, and it's also probably crucial to end the sort of comfort that the players have, that they know they're just going to start week in, week out anyway. It's also, we need to get rid of players. We need to sell players, sell the players who aren't performing, and then the rest will realize I need to step it up or I'm out. Or they'll just go anyway, and then we haven't really lost much, have we?
Correct. Sorry, flicking through some of these comments quickly. So Højbjerg, we're not getting to Chelsea or Man City or Liverpool or Man United because we need to match.
I think he'd get into Man United.
He'd get into United. I agree with the Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, but he's getting into United's team.
I mean, you're not going to play Fred or McTominay over Højbjerg.
And that's what Roshan's put. He's better than Fred and Matic. And Tarkovsky is a shout. You like that one. How far we come that we don't want to play on our squad who was in team of the tournament in Euro 2020. Who's that then?
I believe that's Højbjerg. Højbjerg definitely got into that team. I know that for a fact.
They're talking about the previous, Højbjerg. Because I was thinking,
definitely got.
I still want him. I watch Rennes matches, and it won't be easy for the first place. They are beat PSG and a second in France this season. Very solid team. I'm not surprised. We've struggled against Mura. We'll struggle against Mura tomorrow, probably. We'll probably make it a meal. Giovanni, a sick note. I like that one. Not a Premier League player. Agreed. Harry Kane is quality. Playing a crap team and will not improve unless Spurs get some quality in.
I would say that could be part of it, but also it's not an excuse.
It's not an excuse.
No, I can't agree with that one because he scored 21 goals last season and got however many assists. You know, it's just, you know, the team hasn't changed really, has it? If anything, it's got better. Roshan says Kane is very happy under Conte. If I was a player like Harry Kane, of course, I wouldn't be excited thinking about the future in Nuno's Tottenham. But 100%. He's right, but has it changed? Like we've just been saying.
Exactly. And that's further proves James's point that it's not intentional. It's just the mindset. He was so happy. He was talking about how ambitious the move is from Spurs to bring in Conte, and he still performs just as bad.
Exactly. Roshan said, I wanted to bring this one up earlier, but Darius, you're on an absolute roll. So
Sorry.
He said, no, don't be silly. He said, you're being so unfair to Kane. Remember, Kane did not start against Wolves, and he could not attack. We're totally dominated when we were totally dominated by Wolves. If players don't serve the striker, he can't dribble past everyone. And
it's the same.
This is what we're saying, but his ambition, his desire to want to be on the pitch at the moment, and I agree, he is dropping deep and trying to do what other players are doing, but that's not solving a problem because he's causing another problem by doing it, by not being up there. So, Roshan,
I think it's
No, I was just saying Roshan, I don't think we're being unfair on Kane, and we know he's a quality player, we know he's world class, but his performances at the moment stink of. You know, I'm still got a little bit of a grudge on me over the summer. I'm sorry, unintentional and intentional. It really does. It really does.
Like you just said that, James. I'm not even trying to blame him. I'm not trying to say he's doing it on purpose. Like I said, we literally
makes sense.
The amazing analogy about the flipping golden time in primary school. Sometimes you just
you're going to use that on your next one, aren't you?
Oh, 100%. And I'll make sure that I'll let everybody know that you said it. But it's so true. Sometimes you just naturally will just not put that effort in because you've been promised something. Yeah, you've been promised something and you've not got it. But you naturally just not want to give 100%. There's
some sort of underlying resentment there, and it's uncontrollable. It's always going to be.
You're spot on. He also says none of our attackers are good this season so far. Son class goal against City, lucky goal against Watford, tap in against Newcastle, and a goal. A bad performance against Arsenal, no difference from Kane.
I was going to bring up a similar point. Not that he hasn't been good this season. He's been one of our better attacking players at least, which I guess isn't saying much, but still. But I was going to bring up the point of he played very well against City, and then his goal against Watford was, I mean, you could argue his goal against City was lucky. He slipped. Fair enough. But he put in a good performance before that, at least. That backs it up. But against Watford, he put in a free kick delivery. It wasn't a shot really, and it crept in. That's, we can't. We were lucky to win that game. In fact, against Watford, to be honest.
But do you know the word? Do you know the word that comes to my head and the player that I also think of? Like I said, I think I compare him to Cristiano Ronaldo at Man United at the moment, because I don't think Ronaldo particularly has amazing games. I don't think he has good 90s at all, but he's clutch. And he comes in clutch, and Sonny has come in clutch this season. I can't lie to you. When Kane's not been banging in goals, even if he scores one or two, even if he scores one, he stepped up and he's won that game against City. He's won that game for us against Wolves. Even if it has been sort of a lucky goal or a bad performance, he's still coming clutch. And that's why Ronaldo is not being dropped, because he's scoring goals. He's winning, literally single-handedly brought them to the round of 16 in the Champions League. Yes. And if you've got players like that doing that, you can't drop them, unfortunately.
Without his goals, I saw a stat, without his goal, United would be bottom of their group in the Champions League.
Exactly. So I just think
you can't drop him.
Yeah, that's all I was going to say.
I'm not trying to say I was suggesting drops on, but exactly, you're right.
I agree with you. He's not really. Nobody's really played well. That's another thing. I guess I do have to admit that nobody has really played well this season. I'd probably say the best player is probably either Lloris or maybe Romero, if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. But yeah, it's. I just think that everybody has seemed to have gotten better when Conte has come in. Even the likes of your Davises. Even Session, I think, is gonna have a new lease of life under Conte. But Kane still seems that he just, like you said, it's that psychological thing. I just think that he's not going to be able to shake that off until he's convinced that Conte can win something with Tottenham.
That does show it's not a tactical problem.
Let's get to a final. Let's show.
Literally, that's all we need.
But quickly, Bob Spurs in it. Bob Spurs, big up yourself, by the way. But he said, please no singing tonight, Darius. I beg you. Big up, lads. Do you want to explain that to us, Darius? Come on.
You did not see our stream. Our stream yesterday consisted of Brian Daigle and Sid singing. I can't even remember what song it was. But it resulted in Bob having to put tissue paper in his ears. That's how bad it got. So
you didn't sing. It was Brian.
I wasn't singing, unfortunately. You're not going to get a tune at me today. Maybe if Kane scores a hat-trick, I'll sing next time I'm on this podcast. That's what I'll say that.
What about against Mura? If he scores against Mura? No. He's got to score 9, and then I'll sing. He's got to be his San Marino.
He's got to score 9 against Mura. That guy expects him to.
San Marino. Well, to be fair, is Kane travelled? I don't know.
The only person I know that hasn't travelled that's quite big news is Bergwijn, and a lot of people are trying to say that's because of what happened at the end of the game, where he didn't seem very happy that Conte hugged him. I don't think that's the case, to be honest with you. But Bergwijn hasn't travelled. Everybody else.
You could assume that maybe he's been showing other attitude problems throughout the time, and maybe that was as part of it. But I don't think Conte's going to drop him from the squad just because of one post-match reaction.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I said, it might be part of a bigger picture, which could be the reason. But it's
people overreact. But Bergwijn. Sorry, not Bergwijn. Kane, if he starts against Mura, he's technically playing a similar caliber of opponent as Albania. So, I
won't be surprised if he scores a hat-trick, mate. Honestly, everybody will Kane's back, he's back, and it's like we go to Burnley and then he doesn't score against Burnley.
Spot on. A few more comments. He says, none of our attackers are good so far this season, which is what we just said. And I've just read this comment already, so I'm clearly tired. Tottenham is not good enough to get rid of Kane. I'm 100% sure he'll get to his form under Conte because he's obviously world class. It's not weird to start Kane. It is weird to question some top manager's decision as a fan.
Rob Shan, we're only having a bit of fun, mate.
Rob Shan, right. You're entitled to your opinion, right? But we're not saying it's weird to start Kane. We're saying he doesn't look like Kane wants to be at the club right now. And like we've said numerous times, unintentionally or intentionally, the guy's head isn't there right now because of what happened in the summer. Maybe a bit of the Euros is playing a part, like we said as well. We're not saying he's a bad player. Harry Kane is one of the best strikers in the world still.
He leaves in January after performing like this. He's still a club legend. No,
100%.
100%.
Bale wasn't in that 2019 team. If I recall, Finn, we were talking about the Carabao Cup on the bench. Our players are way too comfortable. You're right. If you lose a player of Bale's quality, you're going backwards.
We knew we were going to lose Bale. It's not like he asked for a transfer.
He's on loan. It's expected.
It was part of it.
Joe's in here. Welcome on in. Joe says, reckon Conte has ever heard of Mura other than the Brazilian lad in his squad.
I didn't even know what country the team were in. I found out it was in Slovenia, so they got in trouble quite far.
Today as well. I also found that out today. I
Finn,
assumed it was Austria. I don't know why.
Where-
I had no idea.
Wait,
Because
where
I
is
saw
it again?
first of all-
Slovenia.
Slovenia.
It's in Slovenia. About 3,700 miles flight, I think, or something like that.
I assumed it was Austria because I saw some of the players posting they were in a German airport. I knew it wasn't a German team, so I thought maybe that means they were flying to Austria for I don't know what.
Yeah.
And Finn's also said we're going to wrap it up on this. Albania are much better than Mura. Well, if that's the case, Harry Kane will get another 4. And a bit of geography at the end. Geomapper experience there from Finn says Slovenia near Maribor. What did I say? Geomapper. It's basically
Respect
GeoGuessr. Oh, GeoGuessr. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
Kane will sit on playing PSG tonight, not getting hyped up for a team in Slovenia. No, pitch will send his ankle packing again. And I think we're going to end on that, guys. I mean, it's spot on. Enjoy the Man City PSG game if you're watching it. I'm saying it on the Spurs channel because, I mean, there's nothing else on tonight. We're looking forward to the Mura game.
Yeah.
Just before we go, actually, Michael and Darius, give us your Mura score predictions, please.
Oh, if he goes strong, 4-1. If he doesn't go strong, 3-2 again.
I would say it would depend on who he plays. I'm going to predict maybe 3 or 4-1 because probably maybe 3-0 or 4-1 because I think he is going to play a strong squad. I think he knows that after the problems that were caused by Nuno playing a much weaker, almost like a separate tier team to the Premier League squad that caused reportedly divisions within the club, as well as, I mean, obviously they weren't performing as well. They're not as good players. So he will probably go strong, and I think maybe a 3 or 4-1.
Just a quick question. If we win this game, we confirm round of 16 or round of 32, whatever it is, or is it?
I think so.
I think it does, pretty much, yeah. I think it does.
Yeah. Because obviously Rennes are above us, but the teams below us are so much further down.
You can see him. I can see him starting very, very strong, and then sort of taking them off,
putting the youngsters. On. I don't know if he's travelled. That Mackin Day.
I want to see Dylan Mackin so bad, man. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. Put him on. Player. You know, he played against Vitesse away, didn't he, for a little bit? But I'm going to go with 3-1 because we will concede because we're Tottenham and we don't have very good defence. And
Romero,
if we concede 2, Darius, if we concede 2 against Mura, by the way, I mean we've got Joe in the chat. Liverpool are playing. Porto tonight, and they're still playing a good team, and they're probably going to win. You know, we've got Man City and PSG. Apparently, the 2 combined teams add up to almost £2 billion worth of players tonight, and we're talking about conceding 2 to Mura.
Yeah, and Liverpool already through to the Champions League round of 16. They're still playing a strong team against Porto just for pride.
And that, as they should as well, as they should.
Yeah, of course. They want it's for players' records, club records.
100%.
It's making a statement. Yeah.
Who's this? Sorry,
Liverpool playing there.
Yeah, Joe's not happy. Joe's not happy. I know he's not happy about it because he wants to rest players and not risk them because they're already through. But I see what you're saying. Before we give our Burnley score predictions and then end the stream, guys, it's been a pleasure. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you're still with us, whether that's on YouTube or Facebook. Hit the subscribe button. Turn bells on if you really want to go that far. And make sure you check out Paxton Road TV as well. I'll let Darius do a little bit of a promo after, but we'll give our Burnley score predictions. What do you guys think? Do you think we're going to get the win at Turf Moor?
Oh, yeah, I think we'll win.
We should get the win.
I'm
going to be a little bit narrower than maybe some people would assume. Maybe a 1-0, maybe a 2-1.
Yeah, I was going to say 1-0. I was going to say 1-0 or 1-0. No, I can't say that. 1-0. Right. Yeah. So you're going, what, 2-1?
I'd say 1-0. I'll go with 1-0. I would, yeah.
Okay, got you. Well, we can look back on these score predictions next week. Darius, I'm sure we'll get you on very soon, my man. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate your time. And guys, go and check out Paxton Road TV. I haven't put it in the comments yet, but the link, just type in Paxton Road TV. We'll put that in the description. But Darius, talk to us a little bit about Paxton Road TV.
Honestly, guys, and just before I do say that, this Spurs-related Instagram, YouTube, whatever, these guys are absolutely amazing. I will hopefully be on this show and this channel a lot more. But Paxton Road, literally, we've got shows more or less, I want to say every day. I mean, Tuesday we have our talking points, and then obviously you have our Thursday games, and we'll do previews and reviews on the Thursday games, previews and reviews on the weekend games as well. And then we might even do a new show. Oh, we have Acid on Friday, and then we have Judge Jody on Monday. So there are shows on Friday and Monday. Hopefully, I'll be having a show for myself on Thursday or Wednesday, so keep your eyes out for that.
Got an exclusive there, guys. There you go.
Definitely gonna
Harriest Thursdays. There you go.
So we're gonna have to find a name. We're gonna have to all the analogies like we did today. But yeah, honestly, just subscribe to us, like and share, and please subscribe to SpursRelated if you haven't already, because these guys are amazing, and I will definitely be on here much sooner than last time. So thank you very, very much.
We will not leave it as long next time, Darius.
Definitely
and
not.
Obviously, as we know, it was Darius. Well, you actually confused me now. I thought it was Darius.
Unfortunately, I was Darius 3K, but
3K and you put 352. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
We've got Antonio Conte in charge now, so we have to be Darius 352K at the moment.
I didn't realize what the correlation
was. That's why, I got to shout out. That was brilliant. Big up the stream, guys. Great stream. Thanks, Finn and Derek. Thanks for joining us. Guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I'll say it once more. But until then, guys, enjoy the games on Thursday and Sunday. We'll be back next week. Come on, you Spurs. Any more come on, you Spurs? Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.